Erik the Red, from explorer to founder of Greenland. From his daring expeditions to the discovery of Greenland to the stories of his infamous temper and the legacy he left behind, we've got it all covered. Erik the Red is a legendary Viking figure who will catch your mind and leave you wanting more because of his larger-than-life attitude and amazing exploratory achievements. Welcome to Historical Saga, the one-stop channel where you can find everything about ancient history. In today's video, we meet Erik the Red, who was the first explorer to find Greenland. Before getting into the video, please share and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Also tap on the bell icon for notifications. The Norwegian Viking Erik the Red is credited with discovering and colonizing Greenland. He was known as Erik the Red because of his fiery red hair and beard, which went quite well with his fiery temper. Before becoming the first permanent European resident in Greenland, he frequently fought with his neighbors and was exiled from Norway and later Iceland. He was the son of Þorvaldsson, and the Icelandic sagas claim that he was born in Rogaland, Norway. Leif Eriksson, a famous Icelandic adventurer, was one of Erik's sons. Erik and his father Thorvald, who had been banished for manslaughter, reportedly fled his native country of Norway for the western country of Iceland. Erik, who had earned the moniker Erik the Red in his youth because of his red hair, similarly left Iceland in the year 980 and decided to explore the territory to the west, Greenland. Erik and a small group of men traveled from Snaefell, one of Iceland's westernmost points, to land on the other shore of Greenland in approximately 982. This was a region that the Norwegian Gunnbjorn Ulfsson had previously skirted in the early 10th century. The group arrived at an island at the mouth of Eiriksfjord, now known as Tunuljarvik Fjord, close to Kekató, formerly Junialab, after rounding the southernmost point of Greenland. From then on, they spent 2 years traveling to the west and north, giving every site a name. Erik built his manor residence, which he dubbed Brattahlíð, which roughly translates to steep slope, in the interior of Eiriksfjord. He gave the nation the name of Greenland, hoping that a nice name would draw in settlers. In 985 or 986, Erik visited Iceland once more. After hearing his descriptions of the new land, many people agreed to follow him to establish a new colony in Greenland. Only 14 of the 25 ships that sailed from Iceland are thought to have landed safely at the location that would later be called Eystri-bygd, which roughly translates to Eastern Settlement. The colony first had 400 to 500 settlers, but it never grew to have more than 3,000 people living there. Erik's colony, remembered in the Erik the Red Saga and the Grænlendinga Saga, also known as the Saga of the Greenlanders, had ongoing communications with Europe until the middle of the 15th century. By that time, it had all but disappeared. Erik was sent further west after the massacre at Haukadalur resulted in his expulsion from the region. In essence, he moved to the islands of Broke and Xene, near the mouth of the fjord, after following the valley as it opened into the sea. The facts of the saga are quite hazy, but suffice it to say that the outcome was another terrible conflict that claimed many lives. Erik and his companions were outlaws for over 3 years now. In essence, this meant that they might be sought out and imprisoned without a trial because they were seen as enemies of the state. And at this precise point, he decided to leave Iceland and search for the enigmatic region that Gunnbjorn Ulfsson had seen a few decades earlier when he veered off course to the west. Erik had heard about a fascinating region in the west called Greenland. Erik the Red explored the coast of the huge island during his 3 years of exile. He found traces of a prehistoric civilization now known as the Dorset people, who lived on the island about 500 BCE and left because of climate change that resulted in rising temperatures. Before moving on, subscribe to our channel for more interesting content like this. Hit the bell icon to receive notifications whenever a new video is posted. Now back to the topic. The Icelandic sagas contend that earlier Norsemen may have discovered and attempted to occupy Greenland before Erik, even though popular tradition claims he was the first European to do so. According to tradition, the earliest recorded sightings of the landmass is attributed to Gunnbjorn Ulfsson. Strong winds had pushed Gunnbjorn towards the region he termed Gunnbjornskerries. However, Gunnbjorn had received little attention throughout the history of Greenland because of the discovery's unintentional nature, according to historical documents. Erik the Red, though, was the first permanent European occupant. Around 982, while in exile, Erik set sail for a mysterious and uncharted land that Snaebjorn Galti Holmsteinsson had tried to colonize 4 years earlier but failed to do so. He sailed up the western shore after rounding the island's southernmost point, afterwards known as Cape Farewell. He eventually came to an area of the beach that for the most part appeared to be devoid of ice and as a result offered growth and future success due to its characteristics comparable to those of Iceland. The Saga of Erik the Red claims that he traveled throughout this region during his 3 years of exile. Erik is claimed to have carried tales of Greenland when he returned to Iceland after his exile had ended. Erik purposely gave the place a name other than Iceland to entice possible settlers. He said that if he had a good reputation, people would be drawn to go there. He understood that any settlement in Greenland would require the help of as many people as possible to succeed. His persuasive skills were effective, as many people, particularly those Vikings living on poor land in Iceland and those who had recently experienced a famine, became convinced that Greenland offered enormous opportunities. Erik and a sizable group of colonists returned to Greenland in 985 after spending the winter in Iceland. Only 14 of the 25 ships that set out for Greenland arrived. 11 were lost at sea. The Icelanders found 2 settlements on the southwest coast. The eastern settlement of Estribeg near Kokarto and the western settlement close to modern-day Nuuk. A middle settlement eventually developed, however many believe it was a part of the western settlement. The only 2 locations ideal for farming were the eastern and western settlements constructed on the southwest coast. Each community would send a large contingent of men to hunt in Disco Bay located above the Arctic Circle during the summer months when the weather was more favorable for travel. They would look for food and precious items like beached whales, seals, and ivory for walrus tusks. Erik constructed the Brattahlid estate in the eastern settlement close to modern-day Narsarsuaq. He rose to the position of paramount chieftain of Greenland and amassed an immense fortune. The thriving community expanded to 5,000 people dispersed across the vast region along Eriksfjord and nearby fjords. The initial party included groups of immigrants fleeing congestion in Iceland. However, a particular group of immigrants who came to the colony in 1002 brought an epidemic that ravaged the community and killed many prominent members, including Erik. Nevertheless, the settlement recovered and continued until the Little Ice Age, which began in the 15th century and occurred just before Christopher Columbus's first voyage to the Americas in 1492, rendering the land unsuitable for modern European lifestyles. Although Erik's sons Thorvald, his daughter Freyr, and Thorfinn Karlsefni's wife Gudrid played important roles in the retelling, the Greenland saga portrays several expeditions as just one expedition led by Karlsefni. Their settlements' locations and names are another obvious distinction. Karlsefni and the others are said to have settled in what is only known as Vinland in the Greenland saga. Still, in Erik the Red's story, they established 2 base settlements: Stramfir, where they spent the winter and the following spring, and Hop, where they later settled but encountered difficulties with the locals they called Skalings. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, don't forget to express your valuable thoughts in the comment section down below. We will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.